to the show. Neil Pickup, the fat lad in the mother fluffing house. And I've got one of my favourites with me. It's Relentless, Frode Haugland. Have it. Now then, Frode, I like the fact you did a little flex up there, mate, because I was doing the fix about an hour ago with Ryan Bowen and Raymond Lipins, both of whom said they can kick your ass. How does that make you feel, son?
That's, yeah. You know, many have said that. I know how that went. I win, they lose.
They lose, mate. They win. Mate, I'm buzzing to have you on the show. Obviously, we go way back. Way back. Done a lot of tournaments together. When was your first Arm Wars, mate? We'll cover this in the show. But...
Blackpool. Or...
Is that when it was?
Second Arm Wars.
You came over for the Iron Curtain.
Yeah.
Iron Curtain event, that's right. Did you put Andy Barker there?
Yep.
Damn.
Second match, I think.
Yeah, who was your first pull with?
It was...
Was it Robert Corneck, was it?
Maybe, or that was the third. I think I pulled Robert after Andy.
Because you pulled both arms, didn't you?
Yeah, I had 4 matches with left hand and 3 right hand.
Very good. So we kept you busy, mate.
Yeah.
How old were you then, Frode?
When was it? 2008?
I think so.
9? 8? So I was 21.
Whoa. You still got a baby face now. You have. You still look very young now. What you are? You must be like what? 60, late 50s, early 60s. 65. Yeah. Okay. You really need to let your hair go. Take some lessons from Pascal. You've seen what he's done. It's a good look. Just don't let it go grey ever. Keep it dark like he does, you know. Over black is the way to go.
Don't look too close.
How's life in Norway, mate? Is it all good?
It's starting to open back up, so looking good.
Have you had many cases?
How many was it? Almost 9,000 confirmed.
Okay, yeah.
Infected. Yeah.
I like your T-shirt as well. Drink Coke, love it. Yeah, don't tell me you've got a Coca-Cola sponsorship, mate. That would be big. Would be large. Bigger than any you've had in the Arm Wars days. Anyway, mate, we said we went way back, and I want to go way back today in the first of our Deep Inside the Minds interview with Relentless Frode Haugland. We want to find out your origins, mate. The origins of Frode. I think you first came on my radar, and I had no idea what year this was, but I think it might have been either Hungary. We were in God for the European Championships, I believe, or Fredrikstad, Norway, and I don't know which one. I think it might have been God, because I think in Fredrikstad you were pulling on the practice table with a baby Tom Holland for hours.
Yeah, we stood there for many hours.
Many hours.
And,
which has been sort of a hallmark of yours, hasn't it? You've always done that.
Yeah. I used to do it in Europeans and Worlds before the competition day. I stood there and I pulled all the juniors after they had competed. I know I was a senior, so yeah, not so smart, but.
No, but yeah, it's a way of building things, though, isn't it? You know, you never really, if you don't fear the loss.
I was never gonna win anyway, so might as well build some experience.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. Anyway, let's start at the very beginning. We want to go way back before that, because it's interesting, Frode. You're a very quietly spoken guy. You're not the type of guy that goes shouting from the rooftops. You don't go out there with T-shirts with your face on or your name on or anything like that. You're the guy that stands quietly in the background, normally smiling, and doesn't say a great deal. And I've had a lot of messages from people saying they'd like to know more about the real Frode Haugland, about sort of the man behind the face, and so that when they're watching you, they can identify with you more. So we wanted to look into that a little bit, mate. And the sort of classic starting point with all these is, what was your beginnings? What sport were you into? Sport from a very young age, and if so, where did you start in sports?
Yeah, I was well, to begin with, I was born with we call it a twin. in my spine. So
Right.
my spine, I was unable to move. This was as far as I could bend. Or,
Wow. Thank God my wife doesn't have that.
That was when I was 6. Was the last operation. I had 2 operations before I was 2 years old.
Okay.
And then from 2 to 6, the stiffness came back, and when they operated, I got paralyzed in my foot. So my foot for 6 months, I was paralyzed from the waist down.
Wow. And this was at 2 years old?
That was when I was 6.
When you were 6, excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, the 2 first operations went well, or they didn't remove all of it, so I came back.
Oh, Jesus.
That was good. So when I was 6, I was paralyzed for 6 months. It's in a wheelchair. Then 6 months from there, I was on crutches, that's what we call them. So that's my tricep. And after that, I started football at the age of, right around when I got off the crutches. So
okay.
7, 8. Played football for 5 years.
Okay.
Then the team, or there was no team anymore.
Okay, disbanded, yeah.
Disbanded, yeah. Then I got into shooting. Did that for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then I did nothing for how old am I then? So 2 more years without anything really. Before I started arm wrestling at the age of 15, 16.
And how did it come about, mate? Where was your first introduction to the sport of arm wrestling? Where did you first see it? Had you been interested as a kid? Had you?
I've always been
over the top thing.
Following from early in school, like in first grade. It's arm wrestling is a big thing in the community here. So because we have Arne Thuen, you know him?
Yeah, of course I do. Absolutely. What
a
classical Norwegian arm wrestler that is.
Yeah, he was a world champ when I started in Grandmaster.
I was going to say many times Masters World Champion.
Yeah, it's 5 times, I think.
Yeah.
5 or 6. So my father worked with him back in the days. So I knew him from there, and always liked the ball. I was always the strongest kid in my class. When I started high school, I beat my teachers.
Okay.
And that's when I started training with Arne. And I fell in love with the sport from there. Never looked back. So.
When you sort of first came across arm wrestling, mate, had you sort of watched it at professional level before meeting Arne? Or was it that was your absolute raw first introduction?
Yeah. I met him he had a stand somewhere.
Okay.
And we met up there, me and some friends, and he taught us the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you have to come to practice. And I got to practice the week after. Never missed practice after that.
How many guys were in the club, mate?
There was around 20 at the time.
Okay, so yeah, pretty...
Lars and some other guys that you won't know.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? It's always, Norway's sort of like one of those countries that's got the talent in there, but it's always been on the back burner a little bit. I mean, your president over there, David Ellerston, been in the sport many, many, many years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long, but certainly early 90s, I think my first introduction to David must have been sort of late 80s, early 90s. So I know he's been in there a very long time. He used to pull himself, obviously, in the bantamweight division.
Yeah.
So, Frode, your style, very, very similar to Arne Thuen.
Yeah.
Slow, tractor-like power. Was that naturally with you, or was that his tuition? Did he sort of put that style into you?
In the beginning, I was naturally shoulder pressing or into a hook, and as time went by, the first 6 months I got crushed by everybody in practice. Really? I did not win a single pull, even the girls beat me. So, and yeah, and then I started beating one after the other. Yeah, it came to a point where there was only Arne who beat me, and of course Lars, but he didn't. He wasn't there that often, and yeah, so I had to pull with Arne, and then we got in the same position every time. That's where he beat me. Like there was 2 years I couldn't do anything with him, and then finally I started to slow him down. And from there it took about a year. I beat him, and then yeah, been the best in Norway since.
Now tell us a little bit about the scene in Norway at that time and now, mate. Because how many sort of you live in Bergen, yeah?
Yeah, close.
Or near to Bergen. Just tell us about sort of your area, your club, and then about the clubs in the Norwegian districts.
Yeah, so my club was the best in the country for 10 years straight. I think we had at one point all the national champions. 1 year at least, and then the club break into smaller clubs. So Bergen got one club, Dale got one, and Stord, so the neighbor cities were all in Os at the beginning when I started. Yeah, they started to break out and create their own clubs. So yeah, and the other clubs around in Norway it's growing, so it's getting better. A lot of young kids.
That's good.
Getting in. Yeah. The only problem for them is they don't have any experienced pullers to pull it, so it's a slow process.
Do you the professional guys, or the guys like yourself, do you get out to a lot of the competitions now, or do you tend to just pull super matches and stay away from the tournaments?
We try to pull tournaments. I stopped traveling so much around in Norway because the competition in my class isn't good enough to be worth my time. Unfortunately. So I jumped up. I actually participated in the super heavy class in Norway, nationals. Won that, and then it's kind of. I'm not allowed to jump up that many classes. Okay. So you can only jump one.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for me. And then so I take the local competitions, and then I travel if they invite me to train with them or teach them anything or stuff like that.
And when was your first sort of international competition or flavour for international? I'm assuming it must have been like the Scandi events.
Yeah.
Things like Golden Arm and tell us about one of the other.
Never been to Golden Arms, actually.
Really? Wow, I am surprised.
Yeah, I've wanted to go many times, but never gone. So, but my first international competition was what was that? We had a competition on a cruise from
the Color Line.
Color Line, yes.
Yeah. We talked about it earlier on the fix. I've been to the Color Line a few times.
Yeah, that was fun. Then I was at the Nordic Championship in, I'm not sure if it was Finland or Sweden the first time.
Yep.
Yeah. The first time I was in the Europeans and Worlds was Manchester, I think.
06, that was your first Worlds, was it?
That was my first, yeah. And then the Europeans the same year, that was in Hungary.
God. Yeah, good. In Hungary. Yeah, I remember it very well. There was quite unusual entertainment in the hotel in the evenings.
Good.
Like live sex show, which was quite unusual, to say the least. It was like, oh, okay, that's different. Usually you get sort of, dancers in national dress. This was a bit more full on.
Yeah, I had my family there. My mom and dad, sister.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's right. Your sister was there, your mum and dad were there, you were there, and you're like, I don't want to endorse any of this. Not into that. All quite embarrassing. I'm glad I wasn't there with my mum and dad. It would have been bad, mate. As it was, I was there with Pascal and Ted Wilson, who were both horrific individuals, so it was alright. It's probably less stressful than for you. It's a good hotel though, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good.
Really beautiful hotel and stunning country. Yeah. But anyway, enough of the countryside and that rubbish. Let's get back onto the pulling. So, when you sort of started to go into international competition, where were you really getting your inspiration from, mate? Where were your first sort of realization of high level arm wrestling or aspirational arm wrestling, as we'd call it? People who you wanted to be like.
I watched John Rosank. One of the first matches I saw was him pulling Taras.
Yeah. At the Nemirov, yeah?
Nemirov, yeah. Mm-hmm. That was, they filmed pulling John at the same time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. 2004.
Yeah. That's when I realized you can pull without the wrist.
Yeah, not the best. But one of the funny things that people always talk about with you is that they think that that's your sort of go-to technique.
Yeah, that's my last resort.
Yeah, you've ended up there so many times that people think you're going for it, but just to put the record straight, that isn't the case, is it?
No, not at all. It's blows up your forearm, so if you go there once, you can't go back in a super match at least. Because and well. I saw a lot of YouTube clips of John. Who else was it? Probably Ronda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Travis.
So you were keeping your eyes firmly fixed on the North American scene. Were you into like on TV and that kind of thing? Gary Roberts' trip?
Yeah. I followed. Yeah. I think he actually did a small interview with me once.
Okay.
I can't remember. Maybe it was at the MGM when we had the onwards.
Yeah. Up on top of the MGM Grand. Yeah, people will mostly know you, I think, from your Supermatch career.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's fair to say that you established a name for yourself, pretty big name for yourself in the Scandinavian countries. Where were your most notable early career wins? What was your first big win in your mind?
My first big, that must have been they had a guy in Finland, I can't remember his name, but he was pulling 75 kilos.
Not Timo Mikkola.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I beat him.
Okay. Whoa.
He was quite good at the time.
Yeah. There was Tupi as well, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Tupi was the other one.
Tupi, I can't remember. Difficult names. Mm-hmm. And then after I pulled with what's his name? The Swedish guy that pulled in the 80s, 90s.
Andreas?
Yes. I didn't know who he was, and then they pulled him at the after party. I smacked him 3 times without knowing who it was, and they came and told me afterwards who I just pulled. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I beat him, and then what else did I pull early on? must have been, I don't know.
You never make records of things like that.
No,
You're fascinating dude for that, mate. It's water off a duck's back, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. Very easygoing bloke. Very easygoing bloke. So, where was your sort of favourite competitions at that time? Did you enjoy pulling the tournaments, or were you always sort of firmly fixed on the super matches? Because I know that when we brought you over to Arm Wars for the first time, I remember that evening in the bar you telling me this is real arm wrestling. This is what I'm, you know. Had you sort of been watching Arm Wars? Were you aware of it? Did you know what you were getting into there? And did it appeal to you?
I had no idea.
So, brand new, yeah?
Yeah.
Was that your first super match, Frode?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. There you go, I'll take that.
I was, yeah. But you only had one Arm Wars Super Series before that.
Right? I think we've done more. But the card format that you were into came a little bit later on, and it was made specifically for Eurosport. I think we introduced you when we were doing the Eurosport show. So when we started doing the very big cards that were required for TV, because at the Iron Curtain and Liverpool Echo and things like that, we were getting 25 matches a day, 20 matches a day. We had to generate enough for, a 30-minute show every week. So we were doing a lot of shows. Yeah. And it was at that time also that we tried to bring in not as many North Americans and UK pullers, do more matches, not necessarily as big matches, and start to get guys over so we could generate just as much content as we possibly could. I think it's the best thing we ever did.
Yeah, I loved Arm Wars. That was, kind of made me who I am.
It was great fun, wasn't it? We had some fun, mate. We really did. And that's when, like you say, you became Relentless Frode Haugland. And from day one, it's fair to say that you arrived with a bang in the Arm Wars series. When you came over there, did you know anything about your opponents? Did you sort of, had you done any homework or?
No. You put me in a battleground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I did not know anyone. I had no idea what I was getting into.
I know a lot of people were saying to me at the time, who's this kid? Who's this new guy from Norway? And I said, don't trust me. He's a bad mother fluffer. Because I pulled you quite a bit on the practice table. And I knew you had some grunt. And a lot of the Scandinavians were talking a lot about you. And there was a real buzz about you at that time. And then you came in and pulled Andy Barker during that competition. And I want to say that was the match that probably put you on the map. Because you didn't win the match, but you gave him problems. And Andy was a very high-level arm wrestler. And suddenly it was like there was a real vibrancy about you. A lot of people were very keen to... And it was the manner in which you did it as well. You were so diverse, pulling in all positions. Top roll, hook, press.
That was the first time I pressed, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was never going to give up, so...
No, you really didn't. That's one thing yourself... and funny enough, Ryan Bowen have in common. He said that his Arm Wars debut, he'd never ever pressed before. That's interesting. Absolutely love that, mate. Absolutely. Were you nervous when you got into that press for the first time?
I don't even. No, I didn't think about it. Like I just want to hold on whatever I could.
Did it feel comfortable to you, mate? Were you?
Yeah, it wasn't painful. Wasn't. Mm-hmm. No, it felt good.
Had you ever been in there in training before?
No.
Anybody just flipped you? You'd never even pulled it in training? Wow, that's ace. Because you didn't look like it was that new to you. You didn't look like you didn't look like a fish out of water at all. Most people, when they get in that kind of position, you can tell they look uncomfortable, uneasy, scared. There was none of that with you.
No, I felt good. Or
wow.
As good as you can be in that position.
Yeah. Let's just wind the clock forward a little bit though, mate, before we sort of come back again. When you were pulling in that position now, does it feel very different to you? Do you feel like you're utilising the move differently than you did that day, or was that always there?
I might have evolved it a bit. Gotten better in staying in better positions. But I never trained for that moves. It just happens in matches.
Yeah.
It feels never. It doesn't feel bad. It's as long as my arm is healthy, it's good. It's not painful. If I go in cold, it might be a bad thing, but normally good.
How often do you find that you suffer a lot of damage when you've had a match in that position?
Never.
Wow.
It's been, It's only been one time I think I had a serious injury in my elbow, and that was because I was pressing with in a hook, not like a flopped, but shoulder roll or whatever you call it.
The only time I ever remember you in real discomfort was Tuye.
Yeah, that was right after.
Very first round, you as soon as he hit, you were like immediately came over to me and you were like something just went bad.
Because I had been injured for some time right before that match. I was okay to pull, and then it blew up in the first match. Felt like my career was over at that moment. So,
yeah, I remember feeling really bad for you that day because you wanted to go on, but you were completely scrap. Couldn't do anything. Your arm was shaking and stuff. I thought, oh, he's in serious. And I've seen you pull so many wars, never a backward step. Hence the name, Relentless Frode Haugland. But that day,
so bad day.
That was a bad day. So let's get into your sort of Arm Wars career a little bit then, mate. Because at this point in time, you'd sort of dominated Norway. When you got on top in Norway, was there any competition back then? Was there anybody at that time who was giving you problems?
Yeah, I won my first overall or king of the table in Norway at the age of 20 or 21.
Okay.
But there was a lot of guys that could beat me at that time. Was stronger than me, just slower or bad technical. And then I slowly grew apart from or past everybody. And then I fell off a bit around 2004, 14, 15-ish. Stopped training for a year, 2 years. Like I trained once a week. Then from there they catch up. So then now it's always somebody who can beat me, but in a competition I rarely lose in Norway. I've lost 3 matches in the last 10 years.
Who were your biggest threats over there? Obviously Lars Robaken.
Yeah.
Now,
well,
you beat Lars most of the time, don't you?
Yeah, I've never had any problems with people that come pushing. I have easy way to pin them. So it's never been a problem for me. And I've always been quicker than him, so separating him from his shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's never a problem.
Yeah, which is remarkable because Lars when Lars comes ready, this is a guy who's got wins over and pins on people like Matt Mask, Richard Lupkus, Jordan Still. Really, he'd given John Brezink trouble. He's a handful.
I trained with him before he had all these matches. And you don't have a chance.
It's amazing. Absolutely, because I think one of Lars' best performances had to be Vegas, when he went out to Arm Wars Vegas, and he pulled really well there. He faced Matt Mask that day.
Yeah.
Beat Matt up. I don't think he lost a match that day, and then he went back the year after and pulled Lupkus. Yeah, and he did okay against Lupkus early, and then
he won the first round.
First one or 2 matches, and then he was beaten by Richard. But Richard's a strong old boy, ain't he just?
Animal.
So, when we get into the Arm Wars Super Series, mate, obviously you were an instant crowd favourite. I mean, you were one of the guys that we saw genuine viewing spikes when you were on a show. We'd get so many viewers, and then Frode being one, definite spike. And I think you were also the first person that we saw compete internationally and have, like, girls with banners with your name on. And you were signing autographs with the girlies, weren't you, son? How did that make you feel? Because you were only a girl, weren't you?
It was special, awkward. It's, never get used to it, so.
No, if everybody out there loves Frode Haugland, right, I'm going to make his female fans love him even more, because this is true. Okay, here's a little Frode Haugland gem for you. We go to High Stakes, I think it was. Okay, and we're out on the sun lounges, and at this point in time, very young Mr. Haugland here had started a relationship with Renata Flatland. Is it now wife or you married now? Yeah, his wife at the time. Okay, so he's just started this relationship, quite new, I think, in this relationship. And there's like probably 8 of us, really top class guys, all physical specimens, all like me good self, and Shiny Nut Sam Backen, Ronnie Rizzoen. We're all there by the pool anyway, and there's a little French waitress, bikini waitress, and she was criminally fantastic looking lass. Absolute honey, right? And she is not interested in any of the lads that are around the pool. There's quite a lot of lads there, and they're all having a bit of a go at her, all sort of like, you know, dropping a wink and trying to make conversation. She has her mind firmly fixed on only one person. And it's blatantly obvious who that is going to be. Every time she comes out and brings around a drink, one guy doesn't pay for his drink and gets as much attention as possibly can. You guessed it, it's Frode Haugland. She comes and sits on the end of his sun lounger trying to make conversation. And Frode is not interested at all. He cold shoulders her on every occasion. He's coming to the end of her shift, right? She comes and sits on the end of his bed and she's looking at her watch. She goes, well, I don't know what to do. She said, I finished work in 30 minutes and I've absolutely nothing to do tonight or tomorrow night. What are you doing? To Frode. And Frode's like, nah, he's not interested, just doesn't take her on, tells her about his girl at home. What a guy! What a guy! That's a fact. Not only did that happen, during that time, a lot of the other guys from the States, from all the guys that were around the pool, were giving him aggravation, giving him stick about the fact that he should have had a go at this girl, should have taken her out for a drink. Nope, not Frode. Good boy. He stayed loyal, stayed faithful, drunk his beer, and nothing else. And I remember walking upstairs with my old man after that, about 2 hours later, and he's saying, he's a good guy, he's got a lot of character, that Frode. He's got some real character, some real principles. Impressed my dad a great deal with that, mate. He really did. But that, you know, just a little story there. Always been popular with the girls. Always had his eye on the girl. And if your missus is watching this, you've picked a good one. Relentless Frode. Good for you, pal. Absolutely awesome. Now, back on some arm wrestling action. Because I know that'll embarrass the living daylights out of you and you won't want to talk about it. So many matches, mate. You've pulled so many people.
Yeah. Probably had the most of everybody.
Of anyone, I think. Which are the ones that stand out in your mind? And we'll talk about athletes, people you've pulled, and specific matches.
The ones that stood out. It was very special the first, I think it was Andy Barker, the first match. And then I always loved and hate the battles I had with Niklas.
Yeah. It's Niklas Nanestad, ladies and gentlemen. The Steel Giraffe. Ambush Niklas Nanestad of Sweden. These guys, if you haven't seen those, you go to armwars.com, check out some of the battles that these had over the years. Wow.
Always some good matches. one of the ones I'm really happy I pulled Pascal. It never aired because the match ended after 3 rounds, I think.
Yeah.
I won that. That was a proud moment.
Madrid, I think, as well, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Arnold Classic. Yeah.
And I like the match with. I like all my matches, but what's his name? Jake Smith. You know that.
Oh yeah.
That was real close.
Yeah.
And, that was one of the matches, single matches I remember the most.
Let's tell the real story there. Okay. So we go out to Vegas. I think that might have been high rollers or high stakes again, actually. And you pulled
the week after Worlds, and
and you pulled Dal Antonio first, didn't you?
Yeah.
Anthony Dal Antonio, who was a rock Canadian puller. For those of you who don't know Anthony Dal Antonio, what a beast! Very, very strong arm wrestler. But Frode dominated him. You beat him badly. And in the later rounds, you started, and I mean with all due respect to Anthony, but you were making a show. You were letting him get onto your hand, roll all over you, jump all over you, and you were showboating for the crowd, getting it down to fine angles and then pulling him up. You can see the match there. So, Jake Smith is pulling against Kevin. And Kevin got injured, didn't he? Very early in the match. Blew his elbow, couldn't continue. So Frode, who's pulled literally 6 hard rounds moments earlier, we're talking 5 or 10 minutes earlier, says, I'll pull him straight back on. So he's just pulled the top man in Canada and let the guy jump all over his ass, and he comes on against a fresh, rock-strong rock star in Jake Smith. And Jake dominated first round, second round, and then it went...
With the brakes.
Yeah, the brakes went on. And then it was an absolute war. And I think did it end 4-2?
Yeah, 4-2.
Ended 4-2. Absolute. And one of those as well was very borderline pin. Very, very dubious. So if you watch the match and make your own decisions, but all I'll say is this. I spoke to Jake Smith after we did the interview. And Jake Smith is a very hard, very straight, very principled individual. I love Jake. He's great. And Jake's only comment that he said was, I can't imagine that guy fresh. So what is that he said? I can't imagine that guy fresh. Now, for Jake to come out with that at that time was, that must have made you feel good, mate. That was an entertaining battle, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was fun. That was good. Good times.
Venues, Frode. Where were you?
Oh, Vegas. Or on top of Jam Jam.
Mm-hmm.
That's favorite. Yeah, it's been so many. We had the one at the beach in Madrid.
Yeah. Mallorca. Yeah.
That was fun. I got burned. And it's many good events.
You got into some wars at the Trafford Centre as well, didn't you?
Yeah, Trafford Centre, of course. Yeah.
So where you were back?
Had with Peter Kovacs.
That's another cracker. Yeah.
And obviously the one with Niklas.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled so many. The first time I was in Manchester, I pulled a battleground. I think it was 6. How many matches did I pull? So 3 right-handed and 2 left-handed, I think. Yeah, that was fun. I won that one. I pulled what's his name? Steve Keller.
Okay, yeah. Stephen the Hit Curly, yeah.
And did I pull Craig Sanders there?
Possibly, yeah. I know I do remember that you pulled Craig Sanders in London. Was it So Emilishvili you may have pulled? The Georgian.
That was in London the year after. No, yeah. Yeah, that was in London. Yeah. Mm-hmm. At the Triple X.
You also ended up pulling Nicholas Matiashvili, didn't you, as well?
Yeah.
The tall Georgian.
Yeah. That was he was strong.
Yeah. Really strong. Yeah. What a catalogue of this stuff. But if you have kids, and if you have a kid that gets into arm wrestling, oh my God, what a back catalogue. They've got to watch yours. Do you ever watch matches back and think, oh, my arm's going to, how did I get into that position? My arm's going to get injured there. Because some of the matches you've been in positions that are immoral. Just crazy position. Martin Zanger match.
Zanger, yeah.
Oh, mate.
I've watched that match many times.
That was off the scale.
Yeah. Left-handed.
Absolutely ridiculous positions. And you had some in-match tuition from Michael Todd. Were you aware of that?
Yeah. Not the first time he tried to talk to me, but yeah, second round. That was. I tried to listen, pull back, and get over. It was so hard. He was strong. We pulled the right hand the first day. He said he was weaker left-handed, and at that time I was equal or maybe stronger left-handed. So I thought this is going to be easy because I beat him 6-0 right-handed. Mm-hmm. And then watch the match. That was a tough match. That's one of the hardest matches.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you look back at your entire Arm Wars catalogue, mate, your whole Arm Wars career, what do you think was your hardest pull? It can be one that you've won, or it can be one that you've lost. In fact, give us one of each. One that you've won and one that you've lost, but your hardest, most difficult matches. If you were going to say to someone, go watch this for a match, what would you tell them to watch?
Alright, so the one I pulled with Josef Love.
Oh, okay, yeah, Thebo, pal.
Thebo,
yeah.
That was hard. I could have top rolled him and made it easier, but I want, every time I go into a match, I want to let them go where they are the strongest and beat them from there. That's what's giving me the most, if I can beat them in their strongest position. Yeah. So that's one of the hardest matches I've pulled. Mm-hmm. I won that. One of the hardest I've lost. I can't remember. I've been crushed. I
think I can only remember you being crushed once by Tuye when your arm went.
Yeah. So,
and that's no respect to Craig, but I know that you immediately, the very first hit, and you came down and said, I'm done. Something just bust in my arm. So it looks like it's a lot easier match than it perhaps would have been had that injury not occurred.
Yeah. And I remember Mallorca, I pulled, what's his name? He lives in England.
Artur Dordehoff.
Yes. I lost that one. Left-handed, and that was, that's one of the worst matches. Or the feeling or how tired I was after that, or in pain.
Yeah, from the sunburn.
I pulled one, what's his name? The guy from Canada, or?
I Am Tamblyn would have been.
Yeah. We pulled before that match. So that After Dordehoff was the second match on the day, I think. But I won against the Canadian.
Yeah, you beat Tamblyn.
4-2, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the toughest matches I can come up with now. Niklas was always, it was hard, but it wasn't that hard. Mm-hmm. Like it ended 3-3, but yeah.
Who was your favourite opponent? Who's the guy you enjoyed arm wrestling the most?
Enjoyed the most. Like when I look back.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably that one match with Jake, the first match I won, and then it was big for me to pull with Steve Rowe.
Okay, yeah.
Because the year before that,
he got second at Worlds, didn't he, to Ruslan?
Ruslan, yeah. So that was a big moment for me. Who else? Yeah, can't remember. Yeah. There's so many, I can't. Yeah, I don't know.
I love that you take you're like the Antichrist of Michael Todd. Michael has names, dates, he's got it all logged in his mind. But for you, when the match is over, it's sort of, that's it, it's over. Done and dusted, throw it in the bin. But ladies and gents, that brings us to the end of this first episode of Deep Inside with Relentless Frode Haugland. But it ain't over yet. We're going to be back with this Norwegian WAL and Arm War star very, very soon. So stay tuned to it. Ladies and gents, if this is your first visit to the Supernatural Strength channel, if you like what we do, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it, and we will be back with more from Relentless Frode Haugland very soon. Till that time, take it easy, peeps.